Black Horseman here. Shout out to the underground community. I want to talk about Jermell Charlo today and also Tim Tszyu. A lot of us already know the WBO has elevated Tim Tszyu to full champion after Jermell Charlo refused to stay at 154 and defend his belt, which will be fighting Tim Tszyu, who was the number one contender in the WBO and the mandatory. He had been the mandatory for, I believe, about more than a year. And the WBO gave Jermell the option: either you defend your belt or you get stripped of your belt. Um, Jermell Charlo decided to go up and wait to fight Canelo Alvarez, where he was defeated this past weekend, where he didn't even put up a fight. But leading up into that fight, he was in interviews stating that, man, y'all need to talk to the WBO and tell them give me my belt back. Um, they should allow me to go fight Canelo and I'll come back. Whoop de whoop. I'm glad the WBO did not listen to Jamel, and I'm glad that they stuck to their guns and their rules because um, there is some deserving contenders that when they're in line to get their shot, sometimes they don't get their shot depending on what sanctioning body. And I'm not saying that the WBO is consistent with every person, with every situation, but they should be. But I'm glad that they did the right thing in this situation. Um, but Jermell Charlo was saying stuff like, Tim Tszyu, he's a paper champ. If they elevate him, he's a paper champ. He ain't done nothing. Let me pull out this banner. Flame of shame to Jermell Charlo for just being a straight up bitch at 54, man. You didn't want to fight Tim Tszyu. If you did, if you really cared about your undisputed status and wanted to remain undisputed, you would have just fought Tim Tszyu, and then you could have pursued the option to fight Canelo after that. But you went for the bag, the paycheck, and you wasn't really too much concerned about the consequences of you going up to 168. So as a result, your belt was taken away from you, and it was given to Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu didn't duck you. Tim Tszyu had been calling you out for at least about 2 years that I know of. He had been fighting all the necessary fighters in his sanctioning body to line him up for that belt. And according to the rules, um, if you don't follow the WBO rules and fight your mandatory, then the guy who's right there at the number one spot, who's holding the WBO interim, gets elevated. And that's just simply what it was. And I've seen this before. People like to use this phrase, paper champ. Um, Depending on the circumstances, you know, sometimes fighters will get elevated because the champ just don't want no smoke for whatever reason, or they explore other options like Jamel did or whatnot. Um, and I've seen this, for example, with Devin Haney. He was the WBC mandatory, and Lomachenko decided not to defend his belt, and he wanted to go after the IBF belt, which Teofimo Lopez had. So he petitioned for the franchise, and as a result, he vacated his belt. He vacated his belt, accepted the franchise status, and the belt was inherited by Devin Haney. Devin Haney didn't duck Lomachenko, and as we all know, even after he became undisputed, he gave Lomachenko a shot, something that Lomachenko didn't even give him. So a lot of people like to use this phrase "paper champ," but no, I think that Tim Tszyu is a deserving champ because he did everything he needed to do as the number one contender and as the mandatory. And according to the rules, that's just how it went. When a champ does not want to face the number one contender, you lose your belt. You know what I'm saying? You lose your privilege as being that champion for that sanctioned body. So, congratulations to Tim Tszyu and flame of shame to Jermell Charlo. You played yourself. He thought Jermell thought he can get in interviews and persuade the media and talk down on Tim Tszyu and say that nobody know you except people in Australia, this, that, and the other. Well, newsflash, Jermell, people know who you are, and we know you're a coward. You know what I'm saying? You didn't want to fight Tim Tszyu. Um, you didn't want to face Bud Crawford. And when you got in the ring with Canelo Alvarez, you ran around the ring like a track star. So shut that soft ass shit up. And if people don't know who Tim Tszyu is, they will know who he is now because he is the full WBO world champion. And if you want your belt back and your undisputed status back, you're going to have to come back to 154, shrink your black ass back down to 154, and fight this man now. So you will be forced to fight this man if you want to be considered undisputed again. But since you went for just the bag and decided to you know, just get in the ring and do nothing with Canelo Alvarez, you are not undisputed anymore. Canelo's still undisputed. He got his third defense as an undisputed champion versus your dumbass. But now you have to go back to 54 and put in the work again. Fight for undisputed status to put yourself back in the history books. And so that's the thing about it. Excuse me. That's the thing about it. A lot of these fighters try to manipulate the fans through these bias ass platforms, these bias ass channels, these biased media people, and they try to talk down on certain contenders and say that they not this, they ain't that, they ain't done nothing, and it's just a fucking lie. Tim Tszyu is 23-0 with 17 KOs, and he's knocked out 7 of his last 9 opponents. So that's very impressive in my book. As a true boxing fan, I am not going to be manipulated by somebody who's just a ducker. And that's all Jermell is. You're a fucking ducker, man. And Tim Tszyu is a world champion now, and you got to deal with that. You must deal with that, and that's just how I go. So a lot of times, like I said, people want to throw this paper champ shit around, but don't have all their facts together, where they don't understand the circumstances of how somebody can get elevated. So hopefully you guys learned a little something about the Tim Tszyu Jermell Charlo situation and can understand how a lot of these champions can get elevated. Because when a champion refuses to fight the number one contender, somebody who's the mandatory, then that's the circumstances of how it happens, man. Guys get elevated. And then that champion has to prove himself. Tim Tszyu is going to have to defend his world title. His first defense is going to be versus Brian Mendoza. And if he's not a worthy champion, maybe Brian Mendoza will beat him. But if he beats Brian Mendoza, then we have to give him credit, as a world champion who defended his title. So that's all I got for this one. Once again, Jermell Charlo, you're a clown. You're an absolute clown. You played yourself. That's why you're getting your ass flamed through social media right now, you and your brother, because y'all on some clown shit. And you're on a sinking ship with the PBC, man. I hope that you guys don't get renewed with you're not going to get renewed with Paramount Showtime. And I'm hearing rumors that you guys are going to get picked up with Amazon. I hope not, because y'all have played tremendous games with the boxing fans. Y'all waited until the desperate times of when you guys were about to get fired, from Showtime to give us these fights. And too little, too late promotions. That's what that shit is. You guys should have been giving us the fights that we want to see. Y'all been overcharging the fans, these pay-per-views. And this is why people are team streaming the hell out of y'all shit now. And anything else y'all got the rest of the year, it will be team stream promotion. So once again, PBC, you guys have done a shitty job for boxing. Overall, you guys are trash. You know what I'm saying? Compared to what ESPN has been able to do, what the Zone has been able to do, and all the shit that y'all talked about, the Zone, that ain't gonna work out because y'all gonna be on the app, because y'all on the app, whoop-de-whoop. Well, guess what? Y'all monkey asses gonna be on the app too, or y'all trying to be on the app with Amazon, and I hope they decline y'all asses. You know what I mean? So that's all I got. Flaming shame to Jermell Charlo for being cap and being a coward, and flaming shame to PBC. And I hope you guys don't get picked up. I'm out.